All right, so hello and very good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for turning in these huge numbers, even on a weekday. And we welcome you all from the platform of D365 FinOps team. And we really, really appreciate the numbers that we have seen here. This is our first event that we are having in Sydney. My name is Kamar Khan. Our group is run by a team of volunteers. So basically what we want to do is we want to do this. So we want to bring the community together so we have a chance to share what we are doing with each other, have the chance to connect with some of your peers who are doing amazing work with the Dynamics platform. So you get a chance to not only listen to them, you get a chance to actually meet them in person and meet your colleagues in person. And then this whole experience is targeted to improve you as a professional. And we hope that we will add value in terms of your expertise with these kinds of events. So today's event will be very quick introduction from myself. I'll take 5-10 minutes, not more than that. And then I'm going to show you what we have in store for you. You might have seen already online, okay, what's the agenda? So I'll quickly explain to you. But just before I start, if any of you need to use the bathroom, just let one of the organizers know. So back there is Amar. If Amar, you can raise your hand. Yeah, he's there. Myself, Kamar, or we have great friends from Microsoft here, Kuntal and Amrik here. Actually, it needs an access card to for you to access those facilities. We will try to serve you some snacks towards the end of the session. I'm sure you guys will be hungry after a long office day. So just stay here for that. And also, if any of your friend is waiting downstairs, so after 5:30, we will have to basically facilitate them with the access card.
Sorry, we extended it till 6:15.
Till 6:15. Oh, that's good. So till 6:15, someone who is coming downstairs is able to come via lift. And after that, then we will have to go and get them, right? All right, so let's get it started. This is a quick introduction for the group's volunteers. So you can catch any one of us on LinkedIn. And if you have any question regarding the group, if you want to see similar kind of activities in Sydney or anywhere else, because we are also live streaming this event on LinkedIn and YouTube. So at the end of this session, maybe we'll share on the Meetup a message with all the platform links that we have. So you guys join those and stay connected with us if you haven't already done this, right? We run a dedicated WhatsApp group. So we will share a link for that with you. And also, if you search on LinkedIn with Dynamics 365 or D365 FinOps team, I'm sure you will be able to find us. So we are, Zishan is based in New Zealand. Amar is here. Faisal Farid will be here soon. Rachit is based in Melbourne, so he couldn't make it. He had a baby boy a week ago, so that's why. Vishal is in UK, and last one is myself. So just grab us if you have any questions after the session. These are some of the pictures from the events that we are doing. So we are consistently doing these events in Melbourne. So these are some of the photos. So you might be able to see a few people here, actually. Okay, this one, Nathan. Nathan, where are you sitting? Oh, okay, so Nathan is sitting here. So he traveled all the way from Melbourne for this event. Thank you for that. Yeah, some more pictures. And this is a good reminder that after this session, you guys are staying for this picture, right? So we will be sharing. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So these are the few pictures. So we have done multiple events like that in Melbourne. People love them. I hope you will have a positive experience. So this will be our first session. So first session will be done in parts by Microsoft Fast Track team. So initially, Toby James will start, and then he's going to hand over to Amrik, Aman, and Kuntal. So the session, you will get to know more about the session. So I'm not sort of wasting any surprises there. Once that session is done, we will have a quick sort of 10 minutes presentation from one of our sponsors, because sponsors are very important for this kind of event. They make these things happen. And before Faisal's session, which you see on your screen, there will be a short presentation from our sponsors. And then Faisal going to talk about his topic, which is related to AI and Microsoft FinOps. And then we're going to sort of wrap it up with another presentation, short presentation from one of our sponsors, actually from Nitin, who you just saw smiling in that photo. Yeah. So these are our sponsors. So we thank them again. Oja's Business System, One Dynamics, Integro. So Integro, you are here, make yourself sort of known to all the audience. So yeah, so Talha and Talha. Yes, I'm still confused which Talha is which. No. So they're my friends. I actually know them. Yeah, so Talha Masood and Talha Danveer, thank you so much for being here. You will get to know about these guys shortly. And lots of thanks to Microsoft, especially all the speakers that are here today or with us online. They've always been supportive. And with their kind support, we are able to do this. All right. So I will not waste any further time. If anyone has any questions for the group, for myself, otherwise I'll just hand over. And just a quick reminder, sorry, that we are broadcasting this event live, which means once we do the transition between some of the online or the physical speakers who are here, yeah, we'll take a few minutes to do that. And we all have been in this, right? We have all been working in a hybrid model, and we know the challenges. Okay. So I'm just going to switch the screen. So Toby James is not here with us. He will be presenting online. So I'll try to connect his audio and bring him online. And then I'm sure
Can you hear me?
you guys will be. All right, just a moment, Toby. Let me open the speakers. Yeah? Yeah. All right, so if you can mute the thank you. Mute it again. I think. Yeah, okay, Toby, now I will be handing over to you. Thank you.
Start off by saying it's awesome to see these in-person events getting going again, and I know you guys have had them for a while. And I'm really disappointed that I can't be there in Sydney with you all. I'm based in Perth in Western Australia and just couldn't make it over this time, but I'm sure it's going to be a great night for everyone there. Well, I guess what an exciting time to be working in business applications. Whether as a system integrator, a leader, or end user within an organization, using these applications, it certainly is a great time. And let's pop up the deck there. Ratchet, if you want to just, great. So unless you've been living under a rock for the past 18 months, you'll know that right now there's an AI arms race. And I guess what I find most exciting about this is the potential that it has to positively impact the way we all work. And I think all of us in this community of business applications, especially within Microsoft and Dynamics 365, can play an important role in this moment in history. So no guessing what I'm going to be talking about tonight. It's all AI. So saddle up. It should be interesting. So I'm not sure how many of you may have caught Satya Nadella's keynote at Build just last week, but he spoke about two big aspirations that we've been chasing in computing really for the last 70 plus years. First, it's how can we get computers to understand us instead of having to understand computers, and then second, we talk about this ever increasing world of data and information. There's so much of it. How can we use computers to really help us reason, plan, and act more effectively on that information? And while you may have heard us talking about this for a little while now, I think if you really look at where AI is, where right now we're witness to some real breakthroughs on both of these fronts. So taking a really brief look back at more recent history, it's fair to say, or on the surface, that coming from the times of punch cards as ways of interacting with computers to sort of right through to command line interfaces, graphical user interfaces in the 80s, we've really made some big gains in that front. But I think if we really think about this in the business application domain, it still is users entering data into forms, and then those forms serving up data back to users. So it really hasn't changed a lot. And users operating across multiple applications, be it a CRM or an ERP. So that whole user experience, although we have had some shifts in technology through command line interaction, GUIs, the internet and mobile, that experience really hasn't fundamentally shifted. And this is where I think AI really has the potential to change all this up. So in 2021, some of our first Copilots were released. Some of you might know these, the GitHub Copilot, which was an AI pair programmer tool for development productivity. We had the Power App Ideas, and then we also released Azure OpenAI, which gave customers access to open AI models. And then in 2022, we saw OpenAI launch ChatGPT, and this is really for many of us our first exposure to the power of generative AI, and what we saw through GPT was a chatbot powered by GPT-3, and it enabled users to interact with AI through conversational exchanges. So I don't know about you, but when I first had experience with this, it kind of blew me away at how contextually relevant and impressive the responses were to those prompts. So this breakthrough marked a fairly significant stride towards a more intuitive and human-like interaction between users and computers. And if you're looking at the timeline here, we looked at the timeline, the previous slide, we were talking about decades. With AI, we're sort of down into the months and years, right? So historically, changes in innovation and adoption has happened over a longer period of time. Now we're seeing that significantly condensed. And ChatGPT is an example just of user adoption. Within 5 days of its launch, it had gained 1 million users, and then a few months later, it surpassed 100 million monthly active users. So these are just crazy rates of acceleration that we're seeing. So unlike previous technology paradigm shifts, AI isn't a trend that's going to play out over the next couple of decades. We're talking the next couple of years. According to IDC, in just 2 years, 75% of enterprises will combine human expertise and AI. That's 75%. That's just huge. and deliver a 25% increase in productivity per employee. So these are pretty big numbers, but definitely we're seeing the trend towards this. So if we look at when we introduced AI Copilot, so throughout last year we began rolling out early versions of Copilot, and again these offered a chatbot type experience where again users would provide some prompts or input, and also data from various sources would be provided into that input, and you'd get very intelligent and context-aware responses to natural language queries. And we've seen this across Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Teams, but also you'll see this capability. You would have seen this capability in the CRM and ERP suites as well. So I want to paint this picture not only to give you an idea of how fast things are moving, but also to kind of start to look at where it's all moving to. Again, I'm sure when most of us think of generative AI, we think back to that ChatGPT chatbot-like experience. But now with the advent of GPT-4 Omni, the capabilities are expanding into a multimodal domain where these models can accept as input a combination of text, audio, image, and video, and generate any combination of text and audio and image outputs. So pretty impressive where it's going. So what you're going to begin to see in Copilots is, evolving beyond just a mere chatbot. Copilots aren't now just waiting for a user to issue a chat command. Copilots are working in the background. They're not just working with you while you're interacting with them. They're working for you, completing tasks without even an active conversation. So the next horizon of Copilots that we'll see, and this is playing out this year, will be Copilots that are running in the background. And we can start to think of the concept of an agent, where an agent can operate independently of the user to fully automate tasks. They can respond to events, and they can act on behalf of a company, a department, or a team, or even within the context of a business process. So you can see the trend where Copilots are now evolving beyond just a personal assistant, and really becoming, as scary as it might seem, becoming parts of the team, members of the team. And you may have seen, we announced at Build last week, this concept of teams or team Copilot, and really by example. This is where you might be hosting a meeting or collaborating on a project, and you've got these agents or co-pilots working alongside you as the meeting facilitator, taking notes, taking action items, that sort of thing. A group collaborator, sending prompts to the meeting chat to collaborate, or even a project manager with integration with Microsoft Planner. So all co-pilots working alongside you and your team, and of course you're always in control, and you can interact and collaborate as if they're a member of the team. Copilot Studio, and this is the guys that are presenting will go into this a little bit more, but this is where you can build custom copilots. So this is beyond just what Microsoft is shipping out of the box, and building your own custom copilots that act as agents that work independently under your direction. So I think when we look again, just in the not too distant future, you can start to see this concept of a team of agents that might not only be working with you as part of that team, but also interacting with each other. So it's pretty exciting stuff that we get to look forward to. But I guess what does all this mean in the context of the business application, or for the future of business applications? So apart from starting to see AI co-pilots in every product, we envisage the user experience will fundamentally change. And to get a feel for what this might look like, in November last year, we launched Project Sophia. And while I'm not going to go into this in any great detail, and you can look this up online, and there's some great video content on this, I thought I'd just talk about it a little bit. So Project Sophia is a new generation of AI-first business applications, and it helps users with complex, cross-functional tasks that offer a new way to discover, visualize, and interact with business data. This video stopped, just bear with me. So there's a research canvas that helps you create exploratory journeys and understand business data with AI-generated charts and insights that really mean that you no longer need to manually mine data, create visuals. So the app is able to provide quick insights and recommend next steps. So you can start with a question, you can explore different options and continue to iterate until you get the best possible outcome. So a really great video to watch online to really get a sense of where our vision is and what we're thinking. And I wanted to use that as just as a bit of a backdrop for us to start to reimagine how our CRM or ERP applications might evolve. So at Microsoft, we envision an interactive environment where AI agents understand a user's objectives and data, and they can create forms and insights on the fly, all within this sort of single canvas or a unified space. As users engage through the multimodal interface, the need for these domain-specific applications such as your CRM or your finance system, all that starts to dissolve. Instead, everything converges into a singular, adaptive, and collaborative canvas, evolving in real time to support the user's current task. So this is a real sort of dynamic layer of interaction that does away from the traditional reliance on these static forms and reports that we're used to. And it really will revolutionize the way we work. So with agents, you'll not only comprehend user intentions, but also very semantically process data so that every form, insight, and report can be instantly generated and tailored to the immediate needs of the user. So this is pretty amazing stuff to look forward to. And I guess while that might all sound very futuristic of a concept, it's really not. It's all happening right now, and you'll start to see this play out over the coming months and year. So my call to action for all of you is that all of us can play a role in this, right? In redefining this next generation of business applications. So I really encourage you to look within your own organizations and look at your own work. And look for opportunities to unlock the potential that this era of AI presents us all. Thank you all for listening, and I will pass it over to Amrik, who's going to take you through some really exciting content around Copilot Studio.
Sorry, yeah, just a minute for transition. I hope that will be all right.
It's really slow.
Do we have to turn on?
Yeah, I need to turn it on. Yeah. Hi guys, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? So quick introduction. My name is Emric Singh. I'm a senior solution architect with the Fast Track team for Dynamics. So I'm going to make it a bit more real. I'm going to talk about what I can do, I can't do, all these big videos you've been seeing for the last 1 year or so. Sorry. So, okay. So I'm going to talk about the possibilities, what you can create using custom copilots. So what Toby was talking about in the last 1 year, we are talking about copilots and copilots. We've got copilots everywhere. We've got copilot for M365. We've got copilot in the Power Platform. We've got copilot for security. I think last time I heard we got 90 plus copilots in Microsoft space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of more after this meeting. I think this is one of the biggest disruptor of the smartphone. So you like it or not, you are in favor of AI or not, you have to jump on it. Yeah, you don't have a choice. Yeah, the longer you wait, you will be left behind. So with that, I'm going to start with, we were talking about PVA or the chat box. Yeah, so is a copilot is just a chatbot? So the answer is no, it's not really a chatbot. If you look at with the chatbot, it only understands the text-based commands. Yeah, it's very much like a point-to-point integration. So you make a call, you get the response from an API, and every single thing is pre-built. You build a narrative. Yeah, you ask a question and give you something. Then you ask the next question and give you something. Sometimes you add some information and give you something. After that, it doesn't know what to do. You can embed this thing into different applications, but the chatbot doesn't have a context. It doesn't know, where it is sitting. It can't get the context from the application you are running this from. So on the other hand, the Copilot is a natural multimodal interface. You can have a normal conversation like any natural language. You can actually have a speech recognition too. Like I said, the chatbot is very much like an API driven. But if you look at a Copilot, you can get the data from multiple sources, and it will ground the data and give you a response, actually combining every single thing together. It's not like you call an API, it's going to give you something. Then you call the second API, it's going to give you something. Here, it's going to actually bring every single thing together as a one piece of information. That makes sense to you guys. It does have a context. So if you say Copilot for sales or Copilot for customer service, if you're running in an application, it knows what you're trying to do. If you're on an account form, it's going to say, you want me to create a summary of the account. If you're on an opportunity, you want to create a summary of this, the opportunity you're sitting on. So it does have a context. It's not kind of dumb chat box saying, okay, I'm going to just do this. So it knows where I am. You can pass the commands wherever this thing is embedded. So here, Microsoft Copilot Studio, this is where you can do a magic, yeah? We got a lot of Copilots, but here, with using a Copilot Studio, you can customize the existing Copilots. Last week at Build, we announced a lot of extensibility. You can extend Copilot for sales, you can extend customer service, you can extend M365 Copilot. Also here, you can also build your own Copilots. Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about today. And then you can manage them, where you want to actually expose that. You want to put that into Teams. You're going to put that into Outlook. You want to put it into different other channels. How people are interacting with your Copilot, or even you want to look at a telemetry, how each conversation is going. You can do all those kind of things straight in Microsoft Copilot here. Before I go any further, so I'm an architect, I'm a techie. So as I said before, I'm not going to talk about sales or marketing part. So I'm going to make it really real. What I really want to talk about is, as an architect in a business application, how can you actually start thinking about Copilot as a part of your solution? Know what's already available in your application. How can you actually build on top of it? How can you create your own custom Copilots? So if you look at here, so we got a Copilot for M365, then we got a Copilot for all the business application. Then we have other Microsoft Copilots. You have seen the Copilots in Power Automate, where you can create expressions for you, can create application by just telling them what to create. even with the Power Pages. Then we have a custom Copilot. Here, Microsoft Copilot Studio, it can actually extend all those kind of things, and also you can build your own, based on your scenarios. I think this is a pretty cool slide. I really love it because think about Copilot as an application, and then you can expose the application to Microsoft Teams. You can expose that to M365. You can expose that to Facebook. Even if you look at customer service omni-channel side, they have even more channels. You can actually embed your application in. So think about Copilot as an application that you can expose to multiple channels at the same time. You don't have to write multiple applications. It's the same application. It can actually work with your authentication process. You can use Windows authentication, auth authentication, Azure B2C if you're embedding your Copilot into custom websites. So it does open up a lot of opportunities, where you can take your solutions. I'm going to go quickly through all the 4 points, but the only point I really want to talk about here is the first one. Natural language is the new UI. So when you're working with a Copilot, you don't need to think about the UI. You can ask that question the way you want to ask. Whatever comes in your mind, you just ask a question, it gives you the answer. So think about Copilot as a new UI. You don't need to think about, I have to build a separate UI in Teams. I have to build a separate UI in web applications and stuff. This is a new UI for you guys. So like I said, I'm an architect, so I'm going to talk about architecture again. So as a business application architect, so we got a Copilot for sales, we got a Copilot for customer service. But when I look at the new projects, I want to look at how can I incorporate the Copilot into my solution when I'm coming up with the solution. So one of the things is, you can think about integration. So right now, you may be writing like weeks of code and stuff. You have a massive amount of data, and you have to go through the whole process. It may be a project in itself just to build integrations. But by looking at Copilot, based on your scenario, you can actually build that integration. I wouldn't say in days and stuff in real life. If it's a proper solution, it may take you a couple of weeks to actually make sure every single thing is working properly, but it's pretty quick. You can integrate the systems. I'm going to give you an example here. So here's an example. I work with a lot of banks in the last 6 years or so. So I'm not going to name the bank, but so if you're using sales or CRM for retail banking, you have all the accounts, whoever is applying for the loans, you've got applications, you've got contacts, they've got opportunities. But at the same time, when people say, I have these accounts and this is my account balance and stuff, you need to bring the information in. Sometimes, the application is taking 15 days or 20 days, and the balance is changing. Whatever you put in the application on day one, after 17 days, you took all the money out. But the lender want to know how much money you have when they approve the application. So I've seen my customer, they were actually updating the account balance or the bank transactions from their kind of main system into CRM every night. Almost 2 million records they have to update every night to see the account balance for those specific accounts. Here, I think it's pretty easy. You don't have to do that. You can, if you're using the sales application itself, you can go to the account and say, give me transactions. It will give you a transaction, or say, give me the balance. It give you a balance. So you don't have to spend months and months to see your integration is going to work. What happened to your totaling calls? Can you make 2 million calls in a 4 hours window? You don't need to think about it because this is just point in time interaction. If the account has 50 interaction, you're going to retrieve 15 interaction. It's going to be when you need it. You don't have to build an integration or batch processes to do that. The second thing is build an application that can bring the data from anywhere. So if you're working in a business application, you go to a CRM, you go to the FinOps application, you have some data. And then you're sitting in your Outlook, you got all the emails and stuff, your all business productivity tools. They're sitting in a totally different system. You may have your own data warehouse or inside system, which is sitting somewhere else. What it can do is it actually can bring the data from multiple applications. Like I said, it can use different sources to actually ground the data and give you a summary from all the different sources, what the exact picture or 360 view of the opportunity or the customer looks like. So here, I actually built this demo for this session. It's called Power Platform Admin Assets. So this is very much for the CE guy. I understand you guys are from FinOps, but I'm going to talk about this because this is my field. So I built this application. So this is for the Power Platform admins. So here, if you look at, you go to Power Platform Admin Center, where you can see how many environments you go, DLP policies, what your capacity look like. Then you may have data in your telemetry sitting in App Insights. Yeah, I want to know what's going on with my system. Then you may have other connectors, like we have got connectors for Power Automate, where you can get the information. So here, what I try to do is I create a chatbot or a co-pilot that can actually get the data from different systems. Yeah. So first one is he's getting a data, create capacity report or get recommendation using a Power Platform admin APIs. Then we have application insights. It can get me my failed flows. It can get me a failed request or billable action. Then other things like I want to create an environment. I want to create a Dataverse. I'm going to create a DLP policy, or you want to even delete them or manage them. You can do all those kind of things. So I'm going to skip, and it goes straight to my Copilot. So if you haven't seen the Copilot Studio, so that's what it looks like. So they changed the UI. I'm a little confused too because this changed last week during build. So this is what it looks like. So here, if you go to create, you can create a Copilot, give you multiple options basically. But I'm not going to go through what the Copilot Studio can do. I'm going to show you the application. So very first one, Power Platform Admin Assist. So I'm going to test it straight in the Copilot Studio. I'm not actually publishing this into a Teams channel yet. But on the right-hand side, you can test your Copilot, what it can do or can't do. For example, we're talking about, I want to look at my failed flows and stuff. So I can just say, hey, get me failed flows. So you see the answer. So I got a couple of failed flows. The call secure endpoints, it failed twice. And then HTTP request flow, it failed twice too. So you get the answer straight away. It's sitting in your app inside, but you can get this data straight in Microsoft Teams, yeah? If I'm an admin sitting like, on a Saturday, walking around with my kids in the park, and someone said to me, what's happening with my flows, you can actually press the button, you can get the information. You don't need to go to your system. Similarly, I have get failed commands or failed requests. So that'll look a little too complicated, but you can change the way you want to present the data. For example, here, the first call is actually failed 5,324 times. If I look at it, actually getting entry definition, it's some kind of internal API. I'm not worried about that. But if you scroll down, then there is a request here. It's a batch request. It's failed 270 times. So if I look at this information, I know my batch process is not working properly. I need to do something about this. So you get this information straight from the telemetry. Yeah. So let's do something slightly different. So I want to get the capacity report from my tenant. Yeah, I want to know how much space I'm using, how I'm going. So if I say create a capacity report, yeah, I'll spell it wrong, but I'll just fix it. So it's going to take a bit of time because I have 106 organizations in my tenant. He has to go through all of them and trying to figure out what the space looks like. It shouldn't take that long. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to show you how it started. So it's saying there are 106 instances, and we're only showing you the production org. Otherwise, it's going to keep scrolling down, yeah? Other thing you can do is you can actually give a next prompt and say, can you send me this, yeah? So you can actually build on top of it, send me this report into my email or something. You can extend it if you want to. So here you can see the instance name is finance. It's using a 3.1 gig of a DB size, 8.2 gig of file size, or 0 size of log files or so. But you can get this information straight into your Teams, yeah? I'm going to show a couple of other things here. Say, create environment. So I'm sitting in my Teams. I want to create an environment because someone asked me to do that. Can you create another environment? And it's changed every single thing. This time, I'm actually telling them what to pick because there are certain reasons you can create an environment. The definition, basically, what this create environment API want me to actually enter. So I can actually change that. This is adaptive card. So you can create the adaptive card to capture the information. So here, if I say in United States, things are going a little slow. Display name user group. And then I go to environment type. I want to create a sandbox. And you can actually pick, which application you want to install. So if I say create environment, so this is the ID of the environment is already created. Just for the demo purposes, I didn't create a CDS database, just create an environment, but you can actually create a Dataverse instance too and create other application. So if I go to my environment now, say if I go to environment, it should show up here in a second or so. User group. Nice, not there yet, but by the time we finish, I'll show you, it will show up here. So another way to look at it, if you think your user can't remember the commands and stuff, what they really want out of these things, firstly, you should actually plan what you're building the Copilot for. The people should know what kind of things it can do. So I actually did here, if say, what can you do? So you guys telling me you can do these three types of things. You can create tasks. You can power play from admin APIs. You can call telemetry insights. So if I click on telemetry insights, you can build these things basically. Yeah, you can take it to nth level. Yeah, you can tell them how to get the variables and the context, what you want to do. So there are different things you can do to make your Copilot a bit more interactive to your user base. Yeah. So if I go fail flows, so you can see the same command that I ran before. There are a couple of other things. When you're looking at the Copilot Studio, there's a preview called the plugins. The good thing about the plugins is because you make it really easy. For example, if you want to get the app inside data, I say, oh, get me failed flows, it will question you. Do you want it for the last 24 hours? So put the time range. You can say, yeah, last 3 days, last 4 hours. You can take it to that level. The way you present the data back, you can actually tell. I show you one of the example here. Say, these are a couple of the plugins I have built. So if I look at get app insights, it's an input, so it's going to ask for a time range. Yeah, it's automatically going to ask for a time range. Yeah, provide the range if you want me to run this command. I look at the output. So here I'm asking the plugin to actually come up with the output yourself. I'm not going to tell you how to present this data, but you can actually do that. You can say that in a description, display the data in a bullet format, create a heading, top flows by available action. So it's that smart. You can put in a description how you're going to present the data. It will do it for you. You don't need to do anything. So I'm going to try to run this again. I think it's called get app insights. Get app insights for the last 24 hours. Get fail flows, a simple topic. No, it didn't go there, but it actually give me another productive options, basically what you really want to say, because we didn't understand what you're trying to say. So this is one way of looking at this. So how much time I got, Quinto? Okay. So there's one more thing I want to show you guys is, so this says I'm enhancing a built-in sales copilot. I'm going to tell you how to do it because it's not out yet. We will be actually releasing some of that functionality soon in a week or two. But I just want to give you the same example, the bank transaction I was talking about. So for example, I'm here. I'm in the CRM application. So if I go to the accounts and I say, get me a transaction, the answer is going to be none because I don't have this information about this account in my database. So it shouldn't bring anything back, hopefully. So there's no bank transaction available to display. So you actually get the data. So now I'm talking about the sales copilot built into the system. How can you extend it for the integration purposes? Yeah. So I know I got some data for another account. So if I go to Australian Limited, I ran the same command, get transactions. So you can see the 3 different transactions coming with the date, amount, and description of those things. So that's how you can actually start using Copilot for your integration scenarios instead of building your own integrations or virtual entities or writing codes and APIs kind of things. As long as that system has an API, or if you look at Azure, AI services in general, yeah, it can actually read the data straight from the blob storage. If you have the information, just pass the information and you can retrieve the data. You can actually show it anywhere, whichever application, the Teams, the M365, or your any other channel we were talking about, yeah? That's it for me from the demo point of view. Any questions?
I'm wondering, like, how long it took you, for example, to just write this logic as an example?
The logic part is pretty simple. I'm a Power Automate guy, so instead of going to the API straight, so I create a Power Automate, and I say, okay, so we've got a built-in connectors. You can have a data burst or FNO connector. I say, okay, get me the transaction. What are the value I'm passing from my sales copilot in the sales app? So this is a crazy part. This is what I'm talking about, the context, yeah? So they are the global variables. When you're going to look at FNO side, maybe people are not talking about this right now, but it will happen. So you would know, are you on some kind of view? Are you on an entity? Are you on a starting of an app? Every single thing will have where you are. Based on that, you pass the context and you get the information, whatever the information you want to get from any other system. So a couple of other scenarios I was looking at, because we have a boot camp next week. You say, I want to show some of the app insights information straight into my opportunity summary here. I can do that. If you have the churn information or lifetime value information, I want to show that straight next to the account without having an integration. I can do that. I can just say, bring the information in here. You can do all those kind of things. Any other question? Copilot Studio does have a license. I need to look at it. I'm not a sales guy, but it does have a license. You have to have a license, yeah. But to extend, you don't need a license, you know what I mean, as such, as long you have a kind of license to use the application. Like if you paid for the sales, you don't need any other license. But you have to have a Copilot Studio license to start building things.
How can you manage the privacy of the responses?
It depends. There's 2 ways to look at it. The first one, if you let the generative AI to actually do the job, sometimes you just redirect the information. It redact even the URL, yeah, it's bringing back. It does those things out of the box as such. But if you're just making a point-to-point call, you decide what you want to display. Yeah, it works both ways basically. Yeah.
How are you encountering the security aspect? Because it's not that everyone should have access to look into the transactions. Let's say there is X guy who's looking into Y guy, one person's transaction, so that's not fair enough, right? So do we have security kind of stuff here where we can control that?
Yes. When you use any connector or even a Power Automate, the very first thing it will ask you, and it won't ask you, there's a field there. Do you want to use the credential of the guy who created this bot, or you want the bot to authenticate that person? So you set this up basically. If someone else want to use the same application, you will actually prompt them to actually provide their credential if they have access or not.
Okay, because in FinOps, everything runs with the security and other stuff. The only dedicated person would have the access to the use those whatever they perform. So it's not that. So
it's exactly the same thing. Yeah, to run an API call as my user, I have to have access to the API. Yeah, so you can actually set it up on the connector level straight away.
The same thing is gonna be when we're gonna be connecting the CRM sales, which is sales with the FinOps. And if you're gonna sales guy is gonna look into the F&O data,
yeah,
then the security will be completely different.
It shouldn't really matter because whichever connector you are using, it will ask you to authenticate. Yeah, it will pass that context, whoever is logged in. So for example, I'm going to expose this Copilot into Teams. So he knows who's using it. So if you don't have access to the information, it's going to let you do it. It's exactly like Copilot for sales or customer service, or even if you have an F&O side, you have a Copilot. The only thing you can see if you have access to.
But the thing then comes in because sales guys are never going to have access to the F&O system because F&O security system completely works differently to how the CRM sales, because CRM sales works based on the team members which you configure it on the policy, but there are F&O things you configure it inside security of the F&O.
But that's what you want, then you can't see it out. It's on the web, you don't have access.
Yeah, you can have browser, which brings the data, or you can have the financial operation API.
It's nothing to do with Google Adsense, any data.
Yeah, API, if you
Then say, if you just want to show me the margin, well, you don't get the margin because you don't have the right.
So this is what I said. You decide you want to use the credential who created this originally. If you say his credential, if that guy has access, you will see the information. But it depends on you, how you want to manage your security. You want to give them information or you don't want to give them information. You decide that. Yeah.
It's nothing to do with AI.
All right, guys. Okay, we'll take one more, and then
Yeah.
you can always contact me.
Yeah. Well, we can do this after the conversation because there are two more guys to go after this. Yeah.
do you plan to introduce any APIs for parameterizing the size of the parameters, like 5.3 models? What you can do is you can size the parameters according to the number of parameters that you can pass into this Copilot transactions. Do you plan to introduce any APIs for that?
I don't see any issues as such. Out of the box, I have seen, I have passed 10 of them. It depends, what the API is. A get call, is a post call. So in the body, you can pass a lot. But I think there is a limit. I don't know by heart, but there is a limit how much data you can bring back to the experience. You know what I mean? You can't go with the files and stuff. But other things you can do, the scenarios like that, as a part of your exercise, you can put that into a file, put it in the SharePoint, give them a link in the chat box. Okay, go find the information there. Yeah. Generally, people are using this to summarize the information because you don't want to go through 10 pages. You want to have a paragraph, what the end result or nutshell of this whole document. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. And I think Amrit has promised us he will look closely at his LinkedIn inbox for yesterday. Just if you had any more questions.
That's it. Thank you, guys. Are you gonna?
Thank you. And just a quick reminder, I see from your class that energy is still high, so we're going to continue the session, right? Just a quick reminder, if someone needs water, that's back here in the lobby.
Here you go. This one.
Okay. So it's going to join me.
It's Ahmad.
All right, so we will
be having an online speaker now.
Hello, can you hear me? Can somebody just give me a confirmation? I can't hear anyone.
Yeah, man, you're all good to go.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kamar. So hi guys, I'm Aman Nain. I'm also an architect in the Fast Track team, working with Toby, Amrik, and Kuntal. And I'll just put myself in the presentation in the presenter mode to make it a little bigger. Okay, that's better. So we're talking about AI today. We are talking about chatbots, chat GPTs, co-pilots. So we are living in the world where OpenAI, all these large language models like OpenAI, there's Gemini, there is Llama, there's Claude, there's so many actually we are lost track of. They have become increasingly popular, increasingly common. And tech companies, new and old, as we are hearing today, not just Microsoft, they're all embracing this new technology, and it all started, I think, you can say reasonably with ChatGPT being the game changer, and now every customer wants a chatbot, every company wants to produce a chatbot, and we are where we are. And Dynamics is no exception. We have Copilots, we have Copilot Studios, just like every other app in Microsoft. And as Amrik is telling us, you can even add more chatbots. So I'll also add more chatbots, but my perspective and my take is a little bit different. I'm going to show you some demos and then talk about how we built those chatbots, what the code looks like, how it is connecting to Dynamics data. But the big difference is I'm not using Copilot Studio, but I'm still connecting and using some of Azure capabilities, Azure data, or sorry, Microsoft Dynamics databases in Azure, like concept of lake houses. You can still connect to these data sources and LLMs like OpenAI's, but I'm going to go with a different approach. I'm not going to use Copilot Studio. So I think it's better I move on and show the next slide. So let me just go back. And then let me just paint the picture first. So for chatbots, we in Dynamics, we have already seen the Copilot's capability, which Amrik showed us. You can build these sidecars on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side. You can even decide maybe on a different navigation or position in the page. And a lot of workspaces in Dynamics are now coming up with these Copilot-based experiences. For example, there's a confirm purchase orders, confirm purchase orders with changes workspace as one example that is coming. You ask questions, you tell it instructions, and it can match in one second. If this, so obviously extend these copilots. So what I'll show today is more code based. It's more programmer friendly, pro code experience, and I'm going to use sorry about the light. I'm going to use Python based coding experience. So using Python, using Visual Studio Code, and we'll see quickly how it can all come together. So I'll show two. One would connect to a Synapse Lakehouse database that I exported one of my Dynamics data from into a Synapse Lakehouse, and the other one will connect to a Commerce Cloud Scale Unit API. So you'll get a flavor of both databases and APIs, how both can be consumed. And there will be a couple of libraries that I've used, and I'll talk about them as well. And so this picture I thought was good enough. It does not explain too much into detail technically what's happening, but I can talk to it. But basically what we are using, what I'm using today is a couple of things: OpenAI, Azure OpenAI. There are some open source Python libraries like LangChain and Streamlit, which I'll explain quickly, and Dynamics databases in a lakehouse format. So that's the SQL connection on top. And as we have seen today, you ask using natural language, you talk about what you want to know about your products, about your orders, about your stock, and you get the response. What's happening to the order, what's happening to the stock. So that's the main idea. That's one of the business problems we want to solve, especially in finance and operations and commerce side of the business with Dynamics. So let's continue. I think it's better to see the demo, and then I can talk about the technical details separately later on. Let me just go to the web page. So this is one of the first apps. I'll explain the code a little bit later, but let me just launch it for now. I'm running it from my own desktop. I run a command, which also I can explain a little bit later. So this app basically is connecting to a Synapse Lakehouse. Or it could be a Fabric Lakehouse, doesn't matter. It's just a connection. It's basically an ODBC connection. Again, I'll explain a little bit. And I've exported a couple of tables that I wanted to get information from about some of the questions that I want to ask. And you can decide what's the scope of the chatbot is. What are the kind of problems you're trying to solve with the chatbot? So let's see what we can ask. So how many stores? And so I'm asking how many stores are there, because maybe I want to know which store I can go to, and then I can quickly go to the next question, which store is nearest to me, things like that. But this one you'll see a little bit differently. It's a bit different response that we are getting here. And what I wanted to show with this chatbot was that it's very easy. Now this one is more of a prototype, but I wanted to show you how these libraries are working behind the scenes, and you'll see this concept of agents that we talked about, how these agents are becoming increasingly intelligent themselves. So in this case, I'm using an agent. It's called LangChain agent. And what it knows is it's understanding the question, and it's thinking, and it's telling me what it's thinking, that, okay, now I need to find the number of stores in the database. Now it needs to know first which tables can it look at. So it knows a couple of tables which could have this data. So retail store table, if you are coming from the commerce background, you know that's the table that contains the list of stores. And then once it finds that it identifies, okay, now I need to find the number of stores. That means I need to find the count of the store. So it's converting your natural language into a SQL query automatically, because that's what the heavy lifting agent is doing on our behalf. It's the LangChain agent. It's an open source library again. And I just wanted to use it to show you how these agents think. And it finds the answer and it comes up with the response. Obviously, in a production setting, you don't need to show any of this, right? We will hide it. It's just one of the handlers that's bringing back the response. It's able to show the thinking of the agent, and I wanted to use that as an example. So next, maybe I can ask what was the most expensive sales transaction. And another thing I want to say is the response is a bit slow. And I've noticed it because I'm running it from my desktop. I found them to be slow. I've also published this app on GitHub, and it's also deployed as an app in a cloud where you can play with it yourself, and you'll find that app has a little bit better experience, better response. So if I want to quickly show you, it's this link here, and I can share it with you guys, the GitHub page as well, and you can play with it yourself. But I'm not sure how it will handle the load because I'm pretty sure it is running on a very small container with not much capacity. So I asked it, what's the most expensive sales transaction? And again, let's see what it was thinking. Now it knows, right? It's converting. It has a understanding of SQL, max net amount, and it knows which table to go to as well, retail transaction table. And it comes back with the response and it gives us the response. So things like that. You can ask about customers, you can ask about orders. Obviously, it's limited with the number of tables you have in your lakehouse, or it could be views. And there's also an important concept of prompts, because some of these things are not clear to the agent implicitly. They need to know which table to go to look at sales transactions. So I had to tell using a prompt that retail transaction table contains the sales transaction. So there are things that you need to instruct, and there are things that the LLM can figure out itself. So let me quickly go to the second one. So this one is the next app. And again, both of these apps are published on GitHub. You can play with them yourself. You can look at the whole code and create your own similar chatbots. So this next app, it's more of a retail focused app. This app we thought of, it's created by my colleague, by the way. His name is Srinath, one of my colleagues in the commerce fast track team. And the idea for this one was, it's more of a store assistant. It's connecting to commerce cloud scale unit APIs. It's more retail focused, and he wanted it to focus on product discovery. So it's limited for now in terms of its capability. It's looking at basically products, product categories, product details, pricing, and even the ratings of different products that we can get. So if I want to ask a question, for example, so this one is a different experiment, right? It's calling an API. And I'll show the code as well quickly. And the response would be a little bit different, little bit more realistic, in the sense we're not explaining how the logic is. Okay, this one is taking time. Okay, it came back. Maybe because it had to pull out a little bit extra information. So you see, this one has a little bit of a personality. It's trying to be a little bit more funny. It's smiling. It's showing me the shoes. It also tells me the price, and it has a formatting. It also asks me, let me know what more do you want, if you have a specific type of shoe, for example. And if I ask, say, most expensive shoes, let's see what it does. I mean, we can also show pictures. Commerce Cloud Scale Unit, like how we show pictures in POS, in e-commerce. It can use the same API, and it brings those pictures as well. Okay, so it knows. It's able to sort out the price and the maximum price, and it can tell me which price is the most expensive. And then it adds this extra bit of information. It has a personality. Shared with best rating. Okay, it was able to figure out. Okay, let me go back now and try to explain you what is happening behind the scenes. Back to the slide. So what is this Chat D365? So basically, these are the two POC chatbots that talk to your Dynamics data in natural language. And as I explained, it's talking to Dynamics Lakehouse database or via Cloud Scale Unit APIs. And then some of the components that I had to use was the Lakehouse, the APIs, the Python code that I wrote in Visual Studio Code, and Azure OpenAI. You need an API key from Azure OpenAI, obviously. And also some of these open source libraries that are very powerful, very interesting. LangChain, Streamlit are the two mostly used in my demo. So let's talk a little bit more about what is this OpenAI. OpenAI obviously is the company behind ChatGPT. We have Azure OpenAI, which has these GPT models available to you as a partner, as a customer who wants to leverage these capabilities. Our Copilot ecosystem is also behind the scenes is using OpenAI. So, but these are more my demo is more developer focused. It's basically I'm telling you, you have the capabilities available to you. These GPT models are available to you. OpenAI has a strong ecosystem of developers, of support for developers in terms of its APIs that are available, the documentation that's available. It's quite robust. And they're increasingly coming up with more and more support for APIs. And I'll talk about some of the APIs that I've used and we have used in the chatbots. But basically, the base model that was used was GPT 3.5. It's considered one of the most successful models they have. It's quite inexpensive in terms of the cost of calls that you can make. It's few cents for a couple of thousand calls, and it's quite fast as well. GPT-4 and the GPT-4 Omni, the new ones that are releasing, they're more capable, but they can be slow and a little bit more expensive, right? So, and the second part of my demo that's quite important is the prompts, right? And I'll show you the code as well quickly, but it's you have seen it with ChatGPT. If you ask a question a little bit slightly differently, you sometimes get a very different result, right? So it's very sensitive to the prompts, and they call it non-deterministic, so the results can vary based on what's asked. So prompts are important. You need to really instruct these LLMs to be able to point them into specific directions, and that's what I've also done in my code. I have to tell them where to look and how to think about some of the questions. And there's a concept of prompt templates that you can use to make it a little bit easier in basically setting up the code. And there's this concept of OpenAI function calling. That was again a very important announcement coming out from OpenAI. Basically, what's happening is, in a nutshell, the code itself that you're writing is figuring out which function to call, right? Like if you know in software engineering, we always have to tell the logic what to call next, right? Which method, which class to call. But what's happening with OpenAI is I just have a list of APIs, like 10 functions, 10 API calls. And based on what you ask in natural language, OpenAI determines itself which API function do I need to call in the code. So I'm not even controlling the way the software is written. So it's a very different world, not just for consumers, but even for software developers, how to write these codes. So it's making sense based on its own LLM capabilities. Okay, the customer is asking me about product prices. So I need to call the API get product price. It knows, basically reading the name of the function. Okay, so it's quite powerful and quite different. And then there are these Python libraries, as I talked about, LangChain SQL agents. That's the one I have used. It has this thing called agent, which basically uh, calls into your database, calls into the OpenAI, and it basically drives the whole conversation, the execution of the logic, how to call, which function to call, which table to now call. So it's quite powerful. And if I quickly have to show you how it works, so LangChain agent works like this. So it has an action. Okay, I need to figure out number of stores or how many stores. It observes, okay, which tables do I have in the schema? And then thought, okay, I need to call retail store table. That's a thought. And then it executes, and then it gets an answer. Or maybe it does not get an answer. Sometimes I failed because it could not find the right table. So it goes back to the action, observation, thought, and then till it finally reaches the answer. So that's how the agents work. And then the PyODBC is basically an ODBC connection I have to write to connect to the lake house. And then the Streamlit is another powerful library. It's very easy to create Streamlit, very easy to create web applications with Streamlit, and it's a very simple code. I'll quickly show you. Okay, let's see the code. Let me go back now to, oops. To the Visual Studio. Okay, so let me go to this one. So this one was the first app that you saw. It's a very simple app, very simple code. You import the code in Python, and let me show you the variables. You basically need to set these variables. Open API key, which GPT model I'm using. I use GPT 3.5 Turbo, and the SQL Lakehouse database that I had to connect to. And to be honest, it can be any database. It can be any SQL database. And in my case, I just connected with this. I used the username password. You can use service principals, secrets. It's I guess, more robust from security point of view. And then, Streamlit code is quite simple. You set the title, you set the caption, you set the API keys, the ODBC connection you can set up with this template, and the tables. I wanted to control how many tables I'm calling, because I noticed more tables you load, it can be slow to initialize. So I just called this couple of tables, and then you instantiate the chat OpenAI, Azure OpenAI. And the prompts are quite important. As you can see, I had to tell it, you are a helpful assistant, and I had to tell it data area ID means company, because if you are going to ask, give me only the orders in company USRT, it needs to know what to use in its SQL query. So that way, then again, how different tables have different kinds of information, how they could be used to create joins between different tables. So you need to tell all of these things, and it's not easy. It's not easy, right? It can get a little bit complicated. So this was, and this is the create SQL agent I had to create, and Streamlit callback handler, which shows us the thinking. So very simple code. Agent was the main hero of the app, if I have to call it, which was handling the entire conversation, entire connections with the databases, the APIs, and the response back to the Streamlit app, which again, it's a very simple code. This is all you need to do to show the response. Take the input from the user, call the agent, and get the response back on the user interface. That's just 5 lines of code. And if I could show you the other one, this one has more code because we actually are connecting to Commerce Cloud Scale Unit. We are using client ID and client secrets. We are also connecting to a Fabric database, which I did not show, but we baked it into the API call itself, and then the Open API keys. And again, you can read all this code. It's a similar Streamlit app-based code, but instead of LangChain, we are using a function of OpenAI. It's called function calling. And if I have to show you, we used a capability of OpenAI. It's called chat completion. So it creates the chat experience. It takes the input and comes back with the response. So this is the main method, how you construct that experience. And function schema is where you define which functions, which API calls are part of your stack. So you need to have this function schema. It needs to be in a JSON format. And reading this, OpenAI knows which function to call. If I have to go for product details, I need to call this API. If I need to get stock information, I need to go to this API. So that's where the magic is happening of OpenAI function calling. And I had the CSU connector because I was also connecting to Commerce Cloud Scale Unit, and it has all this client ID, secret, channel ID, which operating unit, which catalog, those sorts of information. And then we are constructing the API call using this. So commerce product search by text, products get by ID, get attributes value, and yeah, again, it's limited to 2 or 3 functions, but obviously you get the potential here. Let me go back to the slides. So what could be some of the limitations that I found in my POC experience? So basically, you have to respect the token limit. Some of my responses were more than, say, 4,000, 5,000 tokens, and every GPT model has a limit on how many puts it constrains your calls with. So 3,000, 4,000, 8,000. So every to and fro exchange of data consumes tokens. Tokens are basically the words. So if you have like on in that one English sentence, so a large data schema will need more tokens. So either you go with a larger GPT model, or you think of some creative ways to break the tokens. People have come up with different mechanisms. You could also create views instead of using multiple tables. You can use entities. Instead of going to Dynamics database, you could go to a data warehouse, which has better streamlined, flat structure tables. It's easy to get the information that you need, and consume less tokens potentially. It could be slow. Obviously, as we saw in the demo today, my experience was slow, but I have a deployed version, and if you play with it, you'll see it is faster. So that's also another thing. And you also saw how prompts. You need to be creative with the prompts. With OpenAI function calling, there's also a new API support called Assistant API. They are trying to solve this problem of needing too many prompts. But on the other hand, it's becoming more of a black box as well. You don't really know what is LLM doing in handling your logic. So that's still an open area of debate, how to use prompts and whether they are good or not. It could be expensive. You obviously pay for OpenAI API keys. And it can get costly. Other option would be people hosting their own GPUs to run LLM models. So there's also a debate about, do we need large language models, or can we go with small language models which are running locally on physical servers, or even on your phones? Like Microsoft released 5.3 recently in build, which can run on a laptop. And I think Apple also has similar strategy. So there's also this debate about, do we need to go to cloud for all kinds of logic, or can we use um, on-prem LLM models, or small language models they call it. And also, like today's demo, you saw we did not create any CRUD operations, only read operations, no edits or no writes. But you have to be careful. I think some of these agents, I'm sure, if you're not careful, they can actually, if they have the rights, they can actually start editing information in the databases, or call API calls which could write or edit or create things or delete things, first of all. So one option could be the rights that you have for your SQL username or the client ID, you restrict it to a read-only operation. So that way you can protect that the chatbot remains only a read-only experience. And then I also mentioned that OpenAI models are non-deterministic. The same input or slightly different input can sometimes produce very different outputs. So There's another property called temperature, which determines how deterministic or non-deterministic the model needs to be. Um, the one with the cloud scale unit, which had a little bit of more personality, at a temperature of 0.5. So you can go from 0 to 1. The one with the SQL database connection was having a temperature of 0. So it was very boring in its responses. So that was that. Future scope, you can imagine assistant APIs, as I talked about, they could be coming. And
Hi, Aman. Just a quick time check.
yeah,
I know, yeah, people are enjoying your session, but just in terms of time.
yeah, all good. I think I'm done. I'm on my last slide now. So you can imagine, you can connect to other data sources, like I showed Lakehouse database. You can think of data warehouses. I think that could be an interesting, more responsive and more, I think, more capable, more flexible scenario. You actually restrict it to your scenarios with a data warehouse. You can also try to bring in e-commerce data, loyalty data through APIs. So those potentials are there. And then, yes, you can think about how it could be used for your staff, for your customer staff, employees, or for your customer service agents, if that's what the customer needs. So there are obviously multiple scenarios possible. And with that, that's it for my session. Thank you. Q&A. Any questions did we get?
Yeah, I think in the interest of time, we're gonna take the questions offline, if that's fine, Aman, and with the audience, how they can connect with you, Aman, if they have any questions.
Yeah, sure. I'm getting an echo, but I think we can share. Kuntal and our team, we can talk about. We can share our email IDs. Can connect that way.
Yes.
Or you wanna use any of the toilet facilities, just go behind this sort of mirror, and you will get them. Thanks. Thanks.
Let the screen come. Hello everyone, am I audible? So you have seen a lot of Copilot, you have seen a lot of AI, and everything we talk about, we live and breathe on AI. So today, I am also going to talk about AI, but on a different perspective, how it can make your life more easier. So let's think about a scenario. We as an architect, we always go and solve our customer problem. Now, let's present an intelligent problem. How many of you got into a problem where you need to do data migration from your source to target environment? Have you done data migration, bringing data to your target environment? All of us does, right? It's a tedious job, but yet you need to do it. It is a must-have for any implementation. Now, yeah, yeah. Now imagine a world where this data migration becomes simplified. So you bring your source, you have a target, and that's it. Let's the AI help you to do all its magic and automatically do data mapping and data migration. So your tedious job, your risk, everything is taken. That is where we are moving forward. Sorry, I think a little bit of technical difficulties here.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to.
Yeah, please, can you make it full screen? Is it possible? So while he's setting it up, the thing that I'm going to talk about today, it is fresh from the oven, not yet released. And what you will be seeing today and we're talking about is strictly Microsoft confidential. And what we are showing here, it can change as it is an as-built product. Feel free to share your feedback. Feel free to let us know where we can improve. And I have a conversation before this session with the feature PM, and he's more than keen to get your feedback about what we are showing and how we can make these things more appropriate for your customer scenario. So before we begin, how many of you are across Power Platform Data Flow? Anyone heard about this? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. So Power Platform Data Flow is something that is a really powerful tool, right? And this can bring your source data into your Dataverse. Currently, it only supports Dataverse, so it can bring your source data to your Dataverse in very, like for the maker, you can do it in pretty much no time, right? So this is the disclaimer side that I already talked about. Now let's talk about what we will see today. And I have got only a few minutes left, so I'll go real quick. Feel free to stop me. Feel free to ask me question over LinkedIn. Happy to answer anything. So we'll talk about the data flow. What is data flow and why we are bringing this assisted mapping, how it can help you going forward. Today, we only have this for Dataverse or Dynamics 365C, what we commonly talk about. But essentially, as you know, it will progress as we are going into the era where AI will help you with these tedious jobs. So here, let's talk about the data flow current experience. So data flow current experience, this is a very quick snapshot where you can see we are looking into admin center. We are going there. We are choosing a particular source. We are choosing a destination. We are doing some transformation of the data. Then we are choosing a destination. And imagine you have hundreds in the source and you have hundreds in the target. How tedious the job is, right? You have to go through each and every column. You have to map manually and make sure that it matches. If you do auto map today, it just go and exactly map what is the field name against the source and the target, and then it auto map. It doesn't give you, the Power Platform data flow today doesn't give you what it couldn't map and sort of why it couldn't map, right? So this is a limited experience that we have today. What we are bringing is the future of it. So as you can see here, the assisted mapping functionality, and this is again, this is not released, so don't try it. It's gonna come. I'll talk about the timeline at the end of the slide. So if you need to experience this, please reach out to me for your customer. We can definitely enable for your customer depending on the scenario. This is an invitation only feature as of now. So once you choose a Power Platform data flow source and target, it can actually recommend you based on your type. It goes on semantic matching, and based on your type, it will say, okay, you are mapping against account. Are you okay to map against account? You say yes. Then it's going to pick and show you the column. Okay, this column based on the table column name and against the source and the target, and based on the data type, is that the right sort of mapping? It will give you those suggested mapping. And you as an user always have the power to override and say, no, this is not. I will put my own thing. But actually, it will do your mundane job today. Not only that, it will actually go on column name and do the meaning of the column name against source and target. So even if, that's where the power of natural language and AI comes in. So even if your source and column has got a different sort of data type and stuff, it will still go and check against the column name, the actual meaning of the name, and show you, do you still want to map? So we can see that in the demonstration. I know I'm really having very less time here, and exactly what I have shown, you can see here in the sort of demonstration, and it can show you what it had mapped, what it couldn't map, and it is also showing you what could be a possible map. Now imagine you have a column of like hundreds of attributes, right? Hundreds of attributes in a table. And this is a very common scenario. So this particular feature is actually doing that mundane job. All you need to do is saying, okay, this is all good. Just do it, just go for it. And whatever is not mapped, you go and manually map it, right? Let's go and see this in action. The sound is not coming, I think.
So you can just unmute speakers and mute the mic for Kuntal.
Yeah. So you have seen how this will be working in future. I am just skipping my slide. Few important thing. This feature will be solution aware. So once you do it in your lower environment, you can move it to higher Dataverse environment. Do it once and then move it, right? And then we'll have the most important slide here. So the milestone, we are currently having private preview. Very limited set of customers today are trying it out. If you want to try it out, please reach out against this particular customer that you want to do, and we can always onboard you. Any feedback you want to see, any new feature, let us know. And public preview around May timeframe is something that possibly will not be able to meet. So we are looking around June, late June, July, and then general availability will shift gradually. While I'm here, just another small things. Power Platform Data Flow also going through a massive performance boost. So if you are from Dataverse, you must be knowing we released a very new API. It's called Create Multiple, Update Multiple. It's called X Multiple. Anyone heard about X Multiple? Yeah, guys at the back, thank you. So X Multiple is a new API that can do a lot more performance boost for create and update. And just to give you an idea, on an ideal scenario, for creation, you can look at around 4 to 5 million throughput sometimes for create. And update goes a little bit lesser. So Power Platform Data Flow also adopting to X Multiple API, and that is also in private preview. So if you have a customer who has a very, very large volume of data, you are looking at make a portal experience using Power Platform Data Flow to bring that data into Dataverse, and you want to experience the X Multiple API on Power Platform, the Power Platform Data Flow, we call it PPDF, please reach out. We'll be able to help you. I don't think we have time for question, but feel free to let me know if you have question. I'll share my LinkedIn details to the organizers, and you can always connect to any one of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kuntal. Yeah, just in the interest of time, we'll run quickly. So next up is our sponsor, Integro. They will be quickly sharing their story with you guys. And after that, Fazal going to talk about AI and FinOps. I know it's a weekday and you guys are doing pretty well. But we hope that we're going to wrap the sessions up in next 30 minutes. And then you guys will have plenty of time to talk to each other and have some snacks outside. Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello. I think there's a bit of echo. Yes. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Yep. Hello. Am I audible? Okay, great. Okay, so I wouldn't take too much time. By the way, I know that people are tired. It's too late. So, absolutely. So my name is Talha Masood. This is Talha Tanveer, so you can call us T Square. So that's the easy way to put it because people get confused. We are Integro, and we have got a couple of our team members over there as well, Shoaib Rafi and Zishan over there. So they're also with us. The way, I planned for something, but we have got very short time. So I wanted to just keep it very plain and simple and talk about only basically three things: our past, our present, which will come later, and what are our future aspirations. And finally, it's an F&O event, so we will talk about F&O as well. So that's a surprise. So, okay. So we historically have been F&O consultants. Myself, I wouldn't call myself a consultant. I've been more from a project management background and business analysis. But I've been with F&O and AX for last almost 12 years and predominantly in the industry for about 20 years. And same goes with Tala as well, but he's more on the functional side. And the people we have got, they are also consultants, basically. So sorry, excuse me, I got too much excited. So yeah, we founded in 2018. We were pretty much kind of working under the shadows, I would say, because we were not very much marketing ourselves to the industry. But we were actually founded, and then we formed some strategic partnerships to have the resourcing going on for us globally. And we have got a very strong partner who basically supply us resources, and we have got about 200 F&O consultants and even 365 consultants, the CE consultants as well. The first I would say breakthrough project which got us going, and it is still keeping us alive in terms of financial perspective, that basically came in 2019. So there's a retail company in Melbourne called Plant Mark, and he was the project lead for that. He can tell you more about it if you can ask him later. So that was our first breakthrough project we did. So that was a failed implementation. It was like 2 years or 3 years. It was somebody else was trying to do that. They were not able to do that. I'll not go into the stories. But essentially, we basically picked that. We first helped them with the go live, and then ultimately from that point onward, there has been a long period of remediations, which has been still going on. And they're happily working with us, and there are a lot of value we have delivered for them. And I wouldn't share the dollar value, which is quite high, which we could earn out of them as well. So then we did a couple of other projects as well. We did a US project in the defense sector. Then we also did a couple of projects in QLD as well. So yeah, up till this point, almost up till 2022, we were pretty slim. Myself and Tala have been the main guy, and then we have got some resources who would help us in the offshore region. But now, can you move to the next slide? At the moment, so it's kind of mixed together. So the previous slide was more about the past, but this kind of present. Actually, can you just switch next slide and we'll come back to the third one. Yeah, the team one. So at the moment, so these are the two people you can see on the left side, and we have got a few people here in Australia, and the other. So we pride ourselves with kind of a unique resourcing model we have, in which we have a very smart kind of engagement with people. They come work for us, but they at the same time they have their other gigs going on as well. So which has enabled us to still stay relevant in the industry, and with the cost benefit engagement. So at the moment, these are the people who we can say that they are clearly with us, but then there's a network of people who work with us alongside with them as well. And I haven't named the offshore partner we have got. These are the offshore resources we have got, but then we have got a big offshore partner who have given us almost 100 resources whenever they require. Can you go back to the previous slide now? So yeah, the way we position ourselves, as I said on the left side, that one of the strong factor we use for us to basically win projects and ultimately deliver them is a very strong and experienced workforce we have in the offshore sector. And then, of course, we naturally, as how any other, I would say, younger companies do, we go for the projects which are having challenges, and we try to turn them around and make a happy customer at the end of it. More recently, I'll not talk about AI. There's been so much AI so far, so I will not talk about that. But we have really inculcated AI into our delivery processes as well. For example, I'm project manager, right? So I've got a lot of my custom GPTs going around for me who do the stuff for me. Sounds high tech, but that's what I do. Whatever project I do, I create a GPT for that and keep on, pushing data into it. And at times it actually helped me. So that's one example I'm telling you. But a lot of other use cases of AI we have inculcated into our delivery processes as well. We are converting requirements. Actually, we are converting the meetings into requirements, and requirements to user stories into the test cases and all that. So we are using AI a lot in that implementation process lifecycle of F&O project. So that's what we are doing. So that what means the AI-powered delivery processes. And the customized engagement model is basically, as how it goes. I'm not sure how many customers we have in this room, but we are very flexible to design the engagement as how it fits with the customer. We're not very stagnant in that perspective. So yeah, that's talking about that. Can we go to the next slide, please? I'm trying to rush, by the way. Sorry if I look fast. So yeah, that's kind of, so this is where we started. This is where we belong, the F&O, right? And we have the project management, functional consultancy, technical consultancy, offshore, onshore. This is the new direction we have got. And Zishan is our, you can say, a kind of a pillar. He will act as, he's an MVP, Microsoft MVP. So he will be leading that Power Platform, CE vertical we have, and that we have got team for offshore and onshore as well. So yeah, that's more on the Microsoft core Microsoft side, I would say, or dynamic side. But within Gen AI, we have got a few things going on as well. We have got a few products we are working on. There's this product called Pulse AI. I'll not go into details, but it's about an app which is, so my wife works in health sector. So this is an app which can allow you to take notes for a doctor or for a therapist, and those notes are converted into doctor recommendations later, and you can use that for your purposes. Again, I'll not go into the details later. Lessons learned libraries is a new idea we're working on. I'll not share, sorry, that's secret. But that's more like, in the projects we do, we have to take benefit from the previous projects' learnings. And so we use Gen AI very heavily in that product to basically take benefit. And in that particular phases of the project, we kind of use that AI tool to help you guide that, this is the phase, this is the thing you're doing, what should you do? And then I have this, I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then because we have got, for last 1 year or so, we've been playing a little bit with AI a lot. So we have got a small wing, and we have actually helped a few customers as well in terms of implementing AI on the ground. I mean, I'm not talking about Copilot. I'm not talking about building anything. I'm more talking about having a business consultancy on the ground to help you, take your AI journey from the scratch. Like you're an organization, you want to include AI into your processes. So where do you start and where do you go? That kind of a consultancy we do basically in that particular domain. Can we move to the next slide, please? Oh, that's a bit of kind of a summary. So that plant mark is that the biggest work of the customer, NTS, and then a few others as well. But I would say the high focus is on the first row, and then the rest of them have been we have supplied some services to them as well. I mean, you can take that slide later. Yeah, FluidWire. I wanted to talk about that. I was quite surprised and impressed when Toby, in the first part of the session, he talked about something called Project Sophia. I'm not sure if anybody remember. That is something I'm really excited about, by the way. The concept is that, we are into the enterprise applications domain. We know that, F&O applications or CE applications, Power Platform, the core component of us as a human to interact with those applications is that user interface, which we talk about. There's a menu on the left side or the up side or wherever, and then you go into that menu, you find out wherever you want to go, you click that button, and then the page appears. And the page has also having a particular structure. It has sections onto it. It has got elements into it, fields into it. That's all. I call that static UI, because you have to make that UI, you have to develop that UI, and then ultimately it works for you, right? The concept again, this is a concept. This is not a product I'm selling, by the way. This is something I'm really passionate about. I'm actually trying to work on this idea. Project Sophia can become our tool for that. There could be other tools as well. The concept Fluid AI is basically about completely replacing the static UI with a concept that any enterprise application just have like a chatbot-like interface for you. You open that application, it renders the dynamic UI as per your need, as per your particular, whatever you want to do at that point of time. It reads your persona, it knows all the context you have, and then based on that, it renders for you. It not only renders the information pieces for you, but also renders the action items for you as well. Again, it still sounds pretty high tech, right? But that's the aim we have started to work on that. And again, long journey it is, but that's the concept we really inspires us in that future direction we are taking, apart from the other stuff we do in the FNO and the CE space. So I just wanted to share just one term here. I even haven't named this product yet, but that's where things are moving. All enterprise applications we always use. I think in maybe not so far future, in maybe a couple of years, it will just become a chatbot, and you start everything there. It basically knows everything from about you, and you just start conversing with them, and just like you do all your actions using them. And I know that there is a lot of security elements and trustability factors which will be coming play in as well, but that's the aim which we have in our AI sector. I just wanted to share that. I don't want to further go into the details. Can we move to the next slide, please? No, that's it. Does it spark any interest? So that's it. Am I on time?
Yeah, almost. Thank you.
All right. So, Tala.
Thanks for listening to us. And on the way back, we have got some souvenirs for you. So
Yeah.
please help it.
Yeah. I think there's some good.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And let's connect.
You'll see us a lot in these events. Thankful to the organizers, by the way, that you came to Sydney. You paid us a lot of respect as well in that regard. So I hope that many other events happen in Sydney as well. And we are based in Sydney. We are not flown from Melbourne. So anybody who is from Sydney, you can just contact us, and we are here for you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for supporting us. We'll just move quickly to the special session, which is more about FinOps and AI, and then we're going to wrap up with the special. We have to mute the level speaker.
Professor, can you speak that fast?
I'll try. I know I'm very hungry.
Think about that.
Yeah, I just had my breakfast. Haven't ate anything yet.
So you have to speak into them.
This one? Ah. All right. Good evening, everyone, and very good to see everyone here. I promise I will not take more than 10 to 12 minutes. So I know everyone is very hungry, so am I. And what I'm going to talk about today is I'm trying to focus and touching few things in the FinOps world. So that's where a few people are here just to understand what is happening with the FinOps world. Everyone is exploring about, talking about the co-pilots and everything. So exploring co-pilot, and then when we are talking about the co-pilot, we are saying like we are talking about AI, we are empowering few business applications, we are empowering few people to do more. So let's continue. I'm still wearing the same clothes today. So, but I didn't take this photo today, honestly. Myself, my name is Faisal Farid, and I'm Microsoft Business Application MVP for last 4 years now. Hoping to get my 4th this year, inshallah. And then I started my own company called One Dynamics almost 3 years ago with the name of One Dynamics. And I got my 2 colleagues joining us today, Fatima and Faizan. We all travel all the way from Melbourne to Sydney just for this event. And there is a long paragraph about myself, but nothing to read. You will get to know me when I speak. So let's see. And again, this is all about my company, One Dynamics. You can search it. You can Google it about us. And then due to the limited time and so many eyes are staring on me, so I will not going to talk about my company at all. So let's focus on what I'm going to talk, which is actually going to make more sense. Everyone talked about like when we started our career, I can see a few faces here who are hardcore developers sitting here. And every time we get stuck into something, we say, okay, who's there? Who can help me? Especially with the SSRS report from the FinOps side. Everyone has a very, very bad experience with the SSRS. Do not talk about SSRS. Now we are having the same impression with the electronic reporting. Electronic reporting, please. No electronic reporting. SSRS is much better than electronic reporting. I'm happy to build SSRS report. No, please do not. I don't know. Yes, there is one guy, Zishan in New Zealand. He knows about electronic reporting. That's it. Everyone is actually following that guy. Okay, so yes, and this there are many personas sitting over here doing assistance. I need assistance. And surprisingly, what happened a year ago, we got a chat GPT, and yes, I can write my resignation within a few seconds. But now what's happening now is it is writing the same wording, because if someone has left the organization, 5 people at the same time, the manager is actually receiving the same wording, same context, everything. I'm actually sadly to inform you, I'm leaving your organization. Same wording. We know now this is not written by human. It is written by Copilot. I need you, please, because I'm also very hungry. So I need your support. So it's written by some machine, right? Now with the FinOps, it's same thing. Actually, my purchase order are not getting confirmed. Who's going to help me? Satya, can you please help me, because you are the accountant guru. Like I know he's a person where I can go. If Satya is not here, if Hisham is not here, if Faizan is not here, to whom I'm going to get help? Okay, let's talk about something who can help me, who can sit with me, next to me, who can sit not on my seat. That's the main thing which we want to understand. Make yourself that high so that no one can sit on your seat. Someone can sit on next to you, front you, behind you, anywhere. That's the problem which many people started thinking about. I'm gonna lose my job. Yes, Copilot will take your job if you will not take the front seat. So that's a concept about these particular pictures here. So my team actually has worked so hard making these all graphics. So I will take few minutes to present you all these things here. So who is that Copilot? Then it's a video. I will not worry about playing all this video. This is taken from Microsoft video. It has a good music, by the way. If you play it, it make you more energetic and make you, okay, yes, something is happening. So yes.
Less hungry.
Yeah. So then I'll quickly talk about the Copilot. But I love the graphics here. So it's a lot of effort has been put there. Microsoft Copilot, Toby talked about, Microsoft team talked about. I'm not going to talk about Microsoft Copilot. As of now, we are starting to hate Copilot. So why Copilot? We are talking about Copilot. But Copilot is here every day. It's in our life now. We need to start thinking about how we are actually going to make use of these Copilots. For me, from the finance and operations perspective, if we talk about from the business application perspective, and then narrow drawing the finance and operations perspective, and also Shoaib must be thinking about the supply chain. What's going to happen with my supply chain? So from the supply chain perspective, yes, few things are coming as part of the product, but Australia is always get the more mature product. Few people say, okay, why are we not getting things for very start of the application? Because my US, all the regions in the US, they have Copilot enabled into finance and operations. I always think, okay, yes, they will test everything for us. The moment it will reach to Australia, it's a full cooked food. We will have less issues in there, hopefully. So with this saying, Copilot, it can streamline your processes. It leverages a large language model. We all know It can read and write your emails, tag you, Teams. We have seen all these videos there. Then moving on to the next. This is important to understand. Copilot is sitting right in the middle, and then we have all the other applications surrounding it. All the applications are going to use or are using as of now Copilot. What we are going to focus today is this part, only this part. So as you can see, it's a big horizon, but we are talking about this one. And out of all these applications, we are going to talk about maybe finance and the supply chain. So it's a very small portion. So now moving on to this one, we talked about Microsoft Graph API. We have the messages queues. What happens there? I'll send you the message, and then someone actually manipulate it, and then send it back to me another response. Think about if I'll just start talking about, मुझे नहीं पता ये क्या बोल रहे हैं. Few people understand me, few people didn't understand me, right? Now, the people who didn't understand me, what I'm talking about, they may need a device, an interpreter. They will put on the headsets and they say, okay, now you can talk, right? If I will start talking about something else, Zayyik Jabasha, no one will understand except one person I know, right? So that is a thing which we need a translator for us. That's the thing which Microsoft recently released as part of your voice conversions and the Copilot and other things. Yes, there is a device called, like, we used to hear a lot of Arabic in our religion, but we don't understand what they're talking about sometimes. So I bought a device, cost me around $400. It can translate some few things to me correctly, incorrectly, I don't know. How can I verify? Because I don't know the Arabic. So I put the same device for an Arabic speaking person. He said, what the hell is talking about? He is talking about some different Arabic, because every language has a different way. One language they talk about an educational language, one language we talk, which we do not know what we are talking about. So that's the whole concept here. You can think of Copilot is not doing anything, just manipulating things, converting things, putting into because when we started our career, we said machine learn or always understand 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. You send everything to them, they will convert into 0, 1, and then on the other receiving side, it will convert and make you a logic. So same thing happening, but now we make it more complex in part of the terminologies which we are using. So I always try to understand things in a simplistic way first. We will not go into this slide. It's talk about more of the Copilot plugins and everything. Yes, Copilot Studio. This is really good tool. You can create your own Copilot Studio. Finance and operations, like we are talking about finance and operations, like finance and operations, you can create your own Copilot Studio now. You can extend your Copilot Studio and you can embed the same Copilot Studio for your finance and applications. But yes, there are some prerequisites. You have to have your Copilot enabled on your tenant first. You cannot start creating the Copilots and then start using it. Once you have that privilege, you have your environment enabled for Copilot, then you can continue. You can extend your Copilots and start creating your own Copilots. Let's quickly see what we got next. That was Copilot for finance. Now there are two things I would really like to make you understand. There is one thing here, Copilot for finance, and one is Copilot in finance. So this is the minimum thing which I would like you to understand, at least today. There are two different things. These are two different things. And sorry, Amrik, as Microsoft always makes the naming convention so complex, it's hard to understand, even for us, having been in the industry for 2 decades, what's going on. So
Finance for AX, is it?
Sorry? Copilot. So Copilot for finance means we are talking about the Excel, Copilot in your Excel and Copilot in your Outlook. These are the 2 applications which works seamlessly, or no. These applications works very good with finance and operations. So if you get, and there is a preview available, you can always go and no license required. You can play around it. You all need to have your finance and operations environment and license to play around it. But if you have that environment, it only works with your tier 2 environments. You can download that plugin, and then you can embed into your Excel file, and you can also embed into your Outlook there. So much to read it here. I'll skip this one. This one is actually all the business applications where we already have learned about its sales, marketing, service, supply chain, and my favorite is operations. So that's the same thing. Copilot for finance we talked about. This is an Excel file. Once you download it, it will give you, and this is the most famous data Microsoft has provided us, the bank reconciliation. So you get it comes with a template. So you don't need to worry about anything. Just download this file. This comes as a template. You just click onto 2-3 buttons there. It will tell you what to do. And then it will automatically generate. There is no rocket science. I didn't do anything. I just downloaded it, take a screenshot, and put it here. So nothing there. Then capabilities. These are important. Can I have 3 more minutes?
Yeah, I can see 8 more slides.
I'll be very quick then. So finance and Copilot in finance and operations is coming into 3 different flavors. One is going to open on your right hand side here, which we call as a sidebar. We have this into Bing as of now. You can see once you go to the Bing, it comes here. But what's going to happen with the finance and operations? Then what's special? It's a very layman question. What's the special there? As of now, once you have this feature enabled, Sidecar will open. It is actually going to read the documentation from Learn. As of now, Learn. Now, I'm on a particular screen. I'm get stuck with the posting profile. And I'm saying, okay, I'm getting a voucher duplicate error. What's going to happen? Copilot is not going to answer this one. Absolutely. Because this is something we have been in the industry and we face many a times. And every time we find a different resolution there. Because Copilot is actually going to read it from the Microsoft Docs Learn articles, which has never talked about what's going to happen with my duplicate voucher. Never. So then how is it going to work for me? Yes, I can create my own Copilot, my own knowledge base. I can say, yes, instead of going to this particular website, I have another website, onedynamics.com.au. Go there, read it, all the information there. I have blogged about it. It may help someone. But again, it will not work for everything because you will have a different resolution for your problem every time. But the more you will actually injecting the more information, that's called prompt engineering. So you need to ask your question very, very in a good sentence so that the Copilot will understand and answer you promptly. So the more you will feed, the more you will get at the end of the day. So that's going to happen. And then this is a concept of the sidecar, which I just talked about. That's an embedded. Embedded means, like, as the wording itself explains, embedded means something is going to be embedded within your application. it's a purchase order confirmation screen. Why Microsoft has actually started with the purchase order confirmation? Purchase order is actually a very core part of your making a decision. Once you purchase something, you procure something, and if you confirmed it, means you are actually going to hit some of the transactions there. Before that, no transactions. So that is the first step towards making your decision. That's why Microsoft is actually introducing a co-pilot, helping you, someone sitting next to you, helping you, okay, are you making a right decision, yes or no? So this is why it's starting with the purchase order confirmation. It will, down the line, it will increase with more functionalities within finance and operations there. Outside means you will have, and this is one of the examples, I think so, one of the, Amrik talked about APIs, finance and operations. So the co-pilot is actually going to talk about through the APIs. Nothing, no rocket science there. What exactly is happening live here is reading the data, talking to the finance and operations behind the scene with the APIs. It's not that simple. I'm putting in a simplistic way, thinking about just APIs. Don't go into details about what are those APIs. Leave it with the developers or the technical people to understand graph API, what is happening, what's the prompt API engineering there. Architecture, I think so this might be my second last slide there. From the architecture perspective, we all love X++. X++ is not going anywhere, I'm sure, because this is our bread and butter. So it's not going anywhere. I pray it may last for many, many years. It's not going anywhere. And we are going to lose many, many functionalities within the finance and operations and going towards the dataverse. Only thing which I always suggest everyone, start learning. If you are a developer, technical person, start writing plugins now. This is the time to start exploring the plugins. So that is a future towards, because everything is going to be plugin based. Within the FinOps, we are going to share the same IDE to write a code between Power Platform and FinOps. So that's the concept of the unified operations. Now I'm thinking about, should I follow Copilot or unified dynamic operations first? Because so many sessions happening across the world, so many changes happening, but this is where you need to top off everything so that no one will replace you. Copilot is not going to replace you then. So you need to upfront there. Thank you so much, ANZ team, and definitely all the team members, Ammar, Kamar, Rachit, Faisal Farid, myself, and who actually flew all the way from Melbourne to here just for this particular event. And thanks for all your support, for all your love, having us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Faisal. Just the last session, a quick one from Nitin. So Nitin is in habit of building some great products on top of FNO. And I claim that he is the most energetic speaker
oh my goodness.
of the day.
You're putting
so
me in
I kept
trouble.
him at the last. Yeah. So now I'm raising the expectation bar for you, Nitin.
When
So,
everybody is hungry and want to go.
Yeah, and no more than 10 minutes. So that's
Okay.
our.
Thank you. इसको पहले बड़ा करो. How do you? There you go. Sorry, no, I can do it. And how do I start my sharing?
Okay.
That's weird. So you are already sharing? You just start your presentation.
No, don't.
Okay. What do you want to share?
Nothing. Just a blank screen. That's that one. And how do I bring the presentation up later?
Yeah.
So just open it and play it, right?
Correct. Yes.
Thanks, Kamal. Good evening, everyone. I know it's the last session. Everybody want to go for a quick break and eat and then leave for the day. I won't take more than 10 minutes, as promised. I don't have a very intelligent session that we see in the previous time. Like everybody's talking about Copilot, AI, and all these future features and functionalities that are coming in our way. What I'm going to talk about is a particular feature that my team built up in last 3 weeks. And it was a response to a particular situation or a production issue that one of our clients faced. And the product is purely, we actually thought of building a product out of it because based on our past experiences of more than around 2 decades now, we know that this is a very common issue and many customers have faced it. So before I go there, do we have anybody who works on the end users or anybody who's working as a support for Dynamics 365 FNO here? No one. There you go. Excellent. So my questions would be more to you guys, and this is what I'm going to ask about. Do we know that we can send emails out of Dynamics 365, right? Whenever you post a transaction, let's say purchase order confirmation, sales order invoices, remittance advices, and things like that. Has anybody of you has faced a problem where your transaction is posted, but emails are not sent? You've seen it. When that happens, how do you actually go about resolving that problem or identifying what's not been done? Sorry? Trial and error. Absolutely. Any other answer?
Start exploring things. For example, look at your SMTP parameters, your outlook sending inbox and all that, and then you come all the way to your confirmation process to understand what print management failed, what has failed.
Absolutely. Brilliant answer. So that's how we identify what has gone wrong. Let's say we identify our SMTP was an issue, we fix it. But let's say before we identify that, there are 50 other emails that were trying to go out and they all failed. How do you know which transactions or which emails were failed?
Email history.
You look into the email history. Yeah. What information you get in email history?
Email history on the table browser, you can know how many attempts.
Correct.
And which failed, which not.
But do you know which transaction that was for? No. Absolutely. And this is a challenge that we had. I mean, our client had their invoicing process running in a batch mode. And for 2 days, they didn't realize that all the invoices that they posted has actually not gone to their customers. And they started looking into the email history. We looked at hundreds of email failures. We don't know which are these transactions. Go manually into the system, look for each transaction on that date range, and then go to that transaction, go to the print preview, and resend the email out from there. It was a very cumbersome exercise that we did. We take a motivation from there and we built something that I'm going to show you today. So this product is actually called Remail. It's basically talk about resending your emails. And what we have done here is the business scenarios that it relates to is any email failures that can happen. And this can happen beyond the reasons of any configurations in FNO. Like someone said, SMTP errors. Your user credentials for SMTP are changed, your port numbers are changed, and things like that. And you would suddenly see that emails are not going out of D365. This particular product brings in an ability to resend your failed emails to recipients without you need to repost or reprocess your transaction or the workflows. And as we talked about it, it is always a very difficult situation when something like that happens to resolve those problems. So without talking about much about it, I'm a visual person, so I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So that's our standard email history on the left-hand side. And that's a form of a remail over here. In terms of the information, it's not significant, but if you look at the box on top, what we have done is you can now actually find out your failed emails and click a button and it will resend that email to the original recipient along with the attachments that was on that email. We also tried to put this form in a much better, in a usable format, because if you look at that form, it's always, for me, it was difficult to filter out the emails out from there. So here we have placed it in such a way, it's more look and feel is better. You can get to filter on any of these columns. You can filter based on the email status and find out all the failed emails. And just click a button and it's going to send that email. Now that I'm talking about one single email. I'm pretty sure in my scenario, there were hundreds of emails. So we also have given you a batch option where you can actually use a filter query to say, I want to find the failed emails between a given date range for a particular subject as well, if you want to, and then resend them in batch mode. So this is just something that we thought about building 3 weeks ago, responding to a situation that we faced. And that's my presentation today. Sorry, I missed to say, Easy Remail is actually a freeware product. It's available on our website. So any one of you can feel free to jump in there and download the product and start using it. It's not going to be chargeable at all. Sorry? Thanks, Ashwin. So besides resending the emails, you can also forward the email. So for example, if you initially send an invoice and the recipient on the other side has left the job and there is a bounce back, you can actually forward the same email to some other contact on the same organization. So that also is available in there. So you can resend, you can forward, you can resend in a batch mode. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing the product with us. In the last, I think that's was what we want to deliver to you guys. We all come all the way from Melbourne, okay, and I just want to thank our prospects from Microsoft, all of them, for sponsoring us, helping us,
now.
and our sponsors as well.
They're having that problem. I can give it to them.
Dynamics, all the consulting, and in the last 70 people, we would not able to make this event successful.
True.
Thank you for us. Thank you for coming here, and see you next time. Thank you. So there are some refreshment out there, some giveaways.
Yeah, finally.
As well.
We're seeing actually this problem for quite a long time. I'm working on X 4.0 back in Dubai as well. So we have this problem. Email history doesn't tell you which is a source document.
So they are the same thing.
Yes.
That's not realizing they're not getting paid. They shouldn't figure that out. And they're realizing
Then they waited too long actually. Because what we saw is when something like that happens, like when a workflow email stop fulfilling, and you will have your employees complain, hey, my expense report is not getting approved. My manager says he doesn't receive an email. What do we do? Hey, Satya.
We work together. Oh, did you?
That's it.
American people and look
Wait, this old HPE, or it's manufacturing from
and then I compare them. Zizzes is here, and Brendan is here, and Patrick is here.
For me, this whole audience is you work with an very well now. You told us about what website you want to download this.
I will put it on a LinkedIn somewhere. So
Exactly.
Thank you for reminding me that.
All about cars, but everybody was like hungry.
Absolutely. Maybe let's see. I got a flight at 10. Yes. Going back. Even Faisal is going back with the same flight.
Are you guys leaving?
Yeah. Today. 10 o'clock. That's the flight.
Yeah, anytime. And then I'll definitely get in touch with you. Hopefully next week or the following week, because we are just formalizing people's now. If we get this sponsorship from you, what are we going to provide you in return? So we have to just formalize all the processes.